Hello and welcome to The Talk. We are in our last series of the last 3 weeks where we're looking at issues of gender-based violence. And today we want to address the issue of prevention. Should we just let gender-based violence occur in our communities, within our families, or there is something that we can actually do to prevent it from occurring? To assist us in tackling that discussion on the program, I'm joined by Rotina Mafume Musara. She is a program officer responsible for advocacy with SASA Project. We welcome you to The Talk, Rotina.
Thank you very much for having me, Tari.
Yes. When we are talking about preventing gender-based violence, what exactly is prevention?
Okay, you'll find that as Musasa, we have been talking about gender-based violence for the past 2 weeks. We are not only concerned about emergency response, but we're also concerned about prevention of violence from it happening to women and girls. So from the onset, we are also very much aggressive in raising awareness about how to prevent gender-based violence in our families, because we are saying gender-based violence can start in the family circle. We also raise awareness at community. We also do raise awareness at local and national level structures that we have in the country. So we want to look at how we as Zimbabweans, how we as individuals and responsible people can do to prevent gender-based violence.
And how do we prevent gender-based violence?
Yes, I'll start by tackling the family circle.
Yes.
Trikuti susu tiri mukati medzimba dzedu, mai na baba. The best thing that we can offer is love. As Musasa, we also are concerned about the parenting skills that we have. We are also concerned about the relationships that we have and how we as a people relate to each other. And we are saying there's a way of solving conflict in the home. And we are saying let's learn how to prevent conflict amicably. Let's learn how to talk to each other amicably. Because tunaona kuti gender-based violence ine layers akawanda. Inogona kutangira pakutaurirana chaizvo. Makutaurirana, makutaudzana mashoko asingaite as a family. Yet you are people who are staying together 24 hours. You are people who are supposed to be sharing love to each other.
Anzipo pari kuzoita stay together 24 hours ndo pari kunetsa ipapapo.
Yes.
Ndo pari kunza hasha. Nunge makushotana.
Ichokwadi nekuti takuona the nitty-gritties. Zvinhu zvaisati tsamwisa kudhara zvakuti tsamwisa. Nyaya yeshuga chaiyo kushayikwa kwayo taisambosheya because umwe aigona kubuda achienda kubasa. But apa tava tese taakudya tese zviri pamba izvozvo taakudya tese. So vanhu vanonetsana Tari nezvinhu zvidiki-diki. Tiri kuti solvai maconflicts zvakanaka at the family circle. Learn
imbofunga Rotina ndabuda nhasi ndanoswera kumusika hapana kana munhu atenga chunhu kana 1 ndodzoka kumba ndowana baba wakangorara apa hapana zviri kubuda. In the end munongomarana pasina saka how do we avoid that?
Yes. One way of staying together effectively is to lessen the burden for each other. Turikuona kuti munhu anokwanisa kuneta. Murume kana mukadzi tese tinoneta pakushanda mabasa edu. So when we come together as a family, we are saying let's not overburden one party kuti ishande mabasa. We know traditionally munhukadzi ndiye ainzi anoshanda pamba. Baba avo vakagara padare kana kuti vane masawira avo vachimwa zvavo madrinks avo. But tiri kuti isusu now in this modern era, muma family settings edu, even kumusha, ngatibetseranei, lessen the burden. Tikadaro tinoona kuti kutsamwisana pamusha kunoita kushoma. Zvakare tinoda kutaura nyaya dzekuti as we are in the family, we are socialized into our family. What we see is what we are going to do. So if a young man is just seeing the father abuse the wife, it might mean to him that this is what he's supposed to do. So parenting skills play a larger part. Socialization also plays a bigger role. So we are saying as responsible families, let's avoid scolding each other. Let's avoid beating each other. Let's be responsible so that as the young man or woman grows up, they also take responsibility for their lives. Tikatarisa zvakare mufamily mune kumbunyikidzana even pabonde tari. So tiri let's respect each other. Let's have dignity. Tikatarisa munhu anombunyikidzwa hasisina decision making mumba. In other words, tiri kumutorera rights ake to be a person. Tiri kumutorera rights ake to make a decision. And we are saying, as families, let's respect each other. It's better to love than to fight.
But you are kutaura rotina ndo inonetsa kunyanyana na baba yekuti pabonde wozoudza baba kuti wandi violate pabonde vana baba kuti hanzi ine ndakatobvisa pfuma kai ndo zvandakabvisira pfuma yangu zvo hanzi imakadzi nemarights enyu kungotaura how do you even get up and ndiri kumbunyikidzwa unombunyikidzwa sei ndo zvawakabvira umba kwenyu.
Yes, indeed. Marital rape is there. It's prevalent. And sometimes we are oblivious to the fact that it's there. But ukaona zvinhu zvakuita zvekumanikidzira, pane chatokanganisika. Pane mamwe madays ekuti someone is not feeling well. Or maybe someone musi uyoyo hazvisi kubuda zvakanaka and hatifani kumbunyikidza bonde. Let's have a habit of talking to each other. We already taken the first initiative of staying together, so let's take the other initiative of staying together amicably. Yes.
And when you're looking at preventing, yes, you have talked about preventing at family level. What I want to just find out is what would you then say is the responsibility of the family? And when I'm looking at the family, I'm not just looking at mom and dad, but I'm looking at the nucleus family as a whole.
Yes, we have diverse responsibilities in the family that we should take up in order to help each other when we face gender-based violence. Tikatarisa tari kudara tatina a very close-knit family. Tatina sekuru na tete, na bamnini na bamkuru, probably staying together. And they would notice these changes that happen. And vaibva vatokubvunza kuti mwana wehanzvadzi uya padhuze titaure chii chiri kumboitika kwauri. They were the eyes and the ears. But tiri kuti izvezvi taakungogara inini namai nababa nehanzvadzi yangu nasisi. Saka tinoita sei? Tinofanira kuita look after each other and be responsible for each other.
Yes, we are supposed to look after each other, be responsible for each other. We'll continue with this very interesting discussion after this short break. We continue with our discussion where on the program we are looking at gender-based violence prevention. We have Rotina Mafume Msara, and she is with Msasa Project. Before the break, Rotina, you were talking about families' responsibility in terms of preventing GBV. We also have incidences where families actually shield GBV when it happens, which leaves women in a precarious position.
As families, sometimes because of the long-held positions that we have, that sometimes that it so happens that abuse happens in the family. Tisu tinomhanya kuti haungaripoti kahanzvadzi yako, haungaripoti baba wako, haungaripoti sisi wako. But what we are saying is a crime is a crime. And the rights oumwe munhu abviswa nemhonti yatoparamhosva. And isusu semafamilies hatifani kuprotecta mhondi iyi. Kana munhu achinge akanganisa nyika yakatotisira maprovisions that a person who commits a crime has to be incriminated, and that is what we should do. Hatina chipande tinenge takutoti tatovawo mhondi, in other words, because itisu tafukidzira tachengeta ende mhosva inenge iri patiri. Saka we want to encourage families that they shouldn't fear reporting cases. There are available structures that are there in our society, in our communities, that can help us and pick us from where we are left.
But pane nyaya kunzi wakupunza mhuri, wakupunza ukama. Zvonzi izvo ngatiwanei nzira dzekuti tizvigadzirise mumhuri medu imomo, togara pachedu tega. Asi uyu ambunyikidzwa ari kugunun'una, but mhuri iri kuti haukwanisi kudai. And unogona kusvika pekuti unogona kunzi hausisiri wemhuri yedu, ukangoenda chete ikoko hausisiri wemhuri yedu.
ichokwadi chinogona kuitika, but this is lack of knowledge. And like we have said as Musasa, we raise awareness that these are critical issues. And we take an individual as an individual and we protect the individual's rights. So what the individual wants is the best measure that we are going to take, and also working in the confines within the law. So as a family as well, we should work within the confines of the law. We should also know that rights of another person have been taken away, and those rights have to be restored. So someone's esteem, someone's individuality, someone's self-worth has been taken away from them by this person who is a criminal. And that is the core thing that we should protect as families.
Well, I'm sure we can hear and are understanding our role as family members in terms of preventing GBV when it happens. It has got dire consequences, and it's important that you and I play our part to make an end to GBV. Moving from the family, we have communities. What would be a community's responsibility in terms of GBV prevention?
Thank you very much. The community plays an important part in preventing gender-based violence. And this comes from the fact that we are human beings, we live in the society, and this society can also shape the way we think. And our society is mainly patriarchal, which means that we have, it's a men's world sort of, and the rules that we have taken up in our communities are man-made and they are socially scripted. So some of the things that we deem acceptable, they shouldn't be acceptable. But we are saying within that community, where we have socially scripted way of doing things, we also have the community playing a very critical role in preventing GBV. And in that community, tirikutogara tese kumaraini. As tikutoti neighbor and neighbor. Urukutoziva iwewe, kuti maive apo, night time, vanenge vachitochema. Kana kuti murume angodzokawo kwaanga achisocialize kubhawa, akutouya akutonesana navo kuti angobva kubasa. You are also take your responsibility and reach out as well to the person, reach out to the structures that are in your community. Endai kuna sabhuku. Sabhuku muri kutionerawo here izvi. Endai kuna mambo. Mambo, pane zviri kuitika. Chokwadi pane munhu achafa zvikaramba zvakadai, you know. And we are saying as Musasa again, we take that multi-sectoral approach and we recognize the importance of traditional leadership taking its part in preventing gender-based violence. Saka tiri kutoti vana sabhuku vedu vari mucommunity vaya vakatokosha zvachose kuti vashande hand in hand with the nation to prevent GBV. Vana mambo vedu vakakosha to prevent GBV. Saka ma-structures atinoshanda. Tichibva ipapo, as Musasa again, we have our community-based counselors. Atinoshanda nawo nema-club members. Vanovaziso nenzeve kumusasa zvimwe zvinhu hatingazvizivi, we are not in every part, you know. But tiri kuti isusu ivavo vari muma-community structures vazivei, varespectei. Tinoona futi social welfare ine vamwe futi vanhu vari muma-community. Shandai navo ma-structures ivavo. They are also play a very big role in preventing GBV. Pakuti vanoona zviri kuitika and vanomhanyisa ma-cases. Kana uchinge waabuswa, wana waunodi waunotaurira. We also have the religious leaders. And if you know, in Zimbabwe, Tirima Kristu, we are very religious. Vari in their traditional beliefs, and that's very important because zvinotibata muugaro wedu sevanhu. And tiri kuti religion ichatibetsera zvakanyanya to prevent GBV. Kana tiri papulpit tamira kuudza vanhu shoko raMwari, ngativaudzewo kuti ngatisarovana, ngatipananei rudo semhuri, and ngatisafuridzira nyaya dzinenge dzaitika mukereke dzatinopinda. Ngazvitaurwe, ngazvibude pachena. Mutemo wenyika hautibvumidzi kuvanza chero tiri vatungamiriri vemadzichechi. Tiri kuti ngatisiyanei nekuviolata marights evanhu, ngatisiyanei nekuroredza vana vadiki, ngatisiyanei nekutuka vanhu chaizvo tichita verbal abuse. Ngatikurudzirei kuti mumakereke edu chakakosha ndechekuti tisatukana, tisampunyikidzana pabonde, ngatirambei tichicherechedza kugarisana zvakanaka. So religion becomes an important sector, and it's an important sector that we work with all the time, and that we will recognize, and that we respect, that we will also take its stand against gender-based violence.
Ndini sabhuku apa ndini abuser wacho manje apa muri kuti sabhuku torai chinhanho chenyu mudzidzise community apa community yotoziva kuti mai sabhuku vanonzwa nokurohwa saka zvinozofambiswa sei ipapo pekuti ini ndiri kutozikanwa semutungamiri asi ndini wacho ndiri kutozikanwa kunzi ava vanorova pamwe ndini mambo wacho futi vanhu vari kuziva kuti vanokindisa medhemu vavo. I would want you to answer that after the break. We will continue with this discussion. What we want to see is our country, our communities free from gender-based violence. So we need to make an effort to prevent it. Join us. Welcome back. We continue with our discussion. Today we are looking at issues of preventing gender-based violence. Rotina, before we went for the break, I was asking you, what if these people that you are saying we want them to be advocates, to be the champions when it comes to GBV prevention at community level? Sometimes they are the abusers, and community members would be knowing that this leader of ours is actually a perpetrator of GBV. What happens there?
All right, Tari, no one is above the law. And we want to assure the communities that it doesn't matter who is perpetrating. It doesn't matter if it's your favorite pastor. It doesn't matter if it's Sabuku. It doesn't matter if Arimuno anoremeketswa. The fact that they have gone lower to perpetrate gender-based violence, it means they should be reported, and no one is above the law. So Turikote Susuma community, let's take a stand. And as we come together as communities and we confront what's going on, we also demand accountability from the duty bearers, because you are the ones who are supposed to protect us by virtue of being Sabuku. So why is it that you are perpetrating this? So those are we should have accountability from our leaders. So it's also, as a community, let's go and let's report such cases.
Do you have any programs that you do with them or interventions that you actually work with them to then say, let's bring together the community leadership and maybe build their capacity in terms of dealing with GBV prevention within their communities, so that at least they are at a certain level when it comes to then dealing with the issues?
Thank you very much, Tari. Indeed, we do community conversations with our community leaders, vanasabuku vedu, madzimambo edu. Tinogara nawo pasi, tinotaurirana nyaya dze-gender-based violence, unpacking the issues, malayers acho. Tichinyatsowonesana zvakanaka kuti what really is gender-based violence. Zvinombofamba sei, and what are the steps and measures that they can take. Because tirikuti isusu masabuku edu na madzimambo ngashande zvikuru sei nemapurisa, so that they can easily get access to the VFU police and then they report their cases. And sometimes totoona kuti mucommunity vamwe vanenge vasina means of communicating with the police, but pamwe sabuku vane runhare kana phone yavanogonawo kushandisa kufonera mapurisa kuti kuno kwaitika mhosva, and then we have a speedy response to gender-based violence. Again, tinoita ma-community conversations nevanhu mudunhu, because tirikuti susu kana uri kwagutu chii chinomboitika kwagutu, so that we find my solutions are irrelevant, so that even the community comes up with its own solutions. Because when the community identifies a gap, a challenge, they also can come up with a solution. Kuti no trukuona kuti challenge iri pakati nepakati, and we are tichashanda kuti tibvise challenge iyoyo, so that gender-based violence in community medu inopera. So those community conversations that we have actually empower the communities and allow communities to take responsibility to end gender-based violence. Of course, we do have other programs like road shows that we do, raising awareness. Tineo various partners taking a multi-sectoral approach in our response to GBV. And we also do social media campaigns where we are saying we also need to reach to young people who are mostly on social media. So you will find that we are very present on Facebook, we are very present on Twitter, we are very present on Instagram and other channels that are there that the young people can easily access, so that they also know and understand what is gender-based violence. So we are really trying to explore every other avenue that we can reach to people so that they understand that gender-based violence is real, but also gender-based violence can be prevented, and we can come out of the perceptions that we had as a society, moving on to a society that respects the rights of women and children.
You know, when we're looking at gender-based violence, there is also an aspect of how it affects someone's health. You know, here I'm looking at, when we're looking at the prevention that you're talking about, just that empowerment of then saying, once I'm being violated, I'm not in a position to make informed health-related decisions, informed prevention decisions. How are you addressing that?
All right, yes, that's very true, Trari. When you are violated, you face the risk of also being violated health-wise and your health rights being taken away, especially in decision-making when we are talking about sexual makings that you might want to have, and also, again, mental health when we are looking at that. And we are saying it's better to prevent than to suffer mental health, than to suffer other diseases that may come along with the gender-based violence that you're facing. So it's important that as individuals we take the responsibility over our lives to prevent, so that it doesn't escalate into something serious and then your health is compromised.
And still looking at this prevention that you have talked about, you know, within the family setting, how it also affects children. I know for you as an institution, children are not your mandate, but there is a way that GBV affects children. Do you also then, when you're doing your community conversations, enlighten them, unpack how children are also affected?
Yes, definitely. When we are looking at issues of mental health that I've alluded to, a child is in your home. They are seeing how their parent, maybe the father or the father, is being abused, and that plays on their minds for quite some time, and that can ruin their self-esteem, their exposure to life, their thinking about life, and how they are going to relate as adults as well. So we are saying everyone in the family circle is affected by gender-based violence. It's not just the two people, but also the children, and even if you have got an extended family in the household, they are also affected by gender-based violence because they are watching, they are seeing, and this affects everyone. And subsequently, it also affects the community as a whole.
What is your take-home message that you would want to give Zimbabweans?
I'll say to Zimbabweans, please find peaceful ways of resolving conflict. Thank you.
As a nation, let's find peaceful ways of resolving conflicts within our homes. It's my husband. You are the wife. We love each other. So when that conflict happens, let's find an amicable way of dealing with it than resorting to gender-based violence. Until next week, it's goodbye.